Okay, body language. Okay, I'll cover this fast. Good and bad body language. Obviously, you want to look engaged in the conversation. You want to be comfortable in your chair. Be careful, especially guys tend to do the nervous tick knee-jerk thing. Be very careful of that. That's super annoying to whoever you're talking to. If you're somebody, so she who knows. If you're somebody who is worried about your hands, about flapping your hands or something, just keep them in a safe place, either on the arms of the chair, if there's arms, or in your lap, and try not to do too much fiddling. If you're somebody who uses your hands to gesture, to help you make a point, that's okay. Don't be crazy about it, but don't try to tamp things down to an unnatural extent. Now, there's a way that you can sit up in a chair that makes you look positive and alert and not too crazed. Of course, you're going to lean forward slightly. You're going to look attentive. How do I look if I sit like this? If I sit like this and you're talking to me, what's that say?
You're better than me.
That I'm disinterested. That I may have a slight feelings of superiority, that I am not really engaged in the conversation. Anytime you put this arm thing up in front of somebody, and there's a way that people said that I can't demonstrate because of my dress, or with the leg across, a lot of guys do that. There's the leg across the knee thing, that presents a lot of distance between you and the interviewer, so you need to watch out for that. Never, never, never do this. That's very defensive, okay? So try to keep an open profile always. And the more you sit up, the more air you're going to get into your lungs, and it will help you with your voice, it'll help you with your breathing, so you won't do any squeaking while you're talking. And remember to breathe, people. Remember, you need to breathe. It makes you sound more calm when you're speaking. And it's okay also to take your time in formulating an answer. And if you are asked a question and you don't know the answer, do not start making stuff up. And don't start talking and talking, thinking that if you talk long enough, the answer is going to come to you like manna from heaven or something. Usually all you'll do is dig yourself a bigger and bigger hole. So it's okay to say, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that, or wow, that's something that I really need to think about some more, and hope that they will get on with it, right? And you can practice modulating your voice. You don't need to speak in a monotone. If you are somebody who tends to speak in a monotone, sort of practice modulating your voice. It's okay to speed up while you're talking sometimes, and it's all right to slow down to make a point, and you can vary your voice, and it's very important not to end on the up at the end of sentences all the time. That's a bad habit that some people have, and it makes you sound as though you're insecure. So while you don't want to end down all the time, neither do you want to end up all the time, because it sounds as though I'll give you confirmation all the time about what you're saying, and does not project confidence. Do tell me if you believe that you have been treated badly in an interview. That is rare, happily. The days of sort of stress interviews are happily past, but there are certainly questions that you shouldn't be asked that are, if not illegal, inappropriate for you to be asked. And those include inquiries about your name, which would indicate your lineage, ancestry, national origin, descent, or marital status. There's nothing wrong with anybody saying, what a pretty name, or what an unusual name. But if they say, what kind of name is that? Where are your people from? Those are things that are not supposed to be. They are not relevant to your candidacy, to your application. Questions that directly or indirectly pertain to your race or color are obviously taboo, but once in a while still asked. Names or relationships of persons with whom the applicant resides, and whether you own or rent your home. Really any inquiry into your national origin, unless it's something that you yourself have touched on. I mean, if you've brought it up, then it's sort of fair game. But in terms of why this would be pertinent at all to your medical school candidacy is not clear or indeed relevant. Applicant's religious denomination or affiliation, what church you attend, these are issues that are not open to inquiry. And whether applicant or his or her parents are naturalized or native-born U.S. citizens, things along that line. Inquiry as to whether the applicant's mother tongue or how the foreign language ability was acquired. I would say an exception to that would be it's so useful to know Spanish that if Spanish was your first language, I think you should actually be kind of bragging about that, because that's incredibly useful. Or if you're in a part of the country where it would be helpful to know Chinese or who knows, Swedish or something, then that might be useful to share. So use your best judgment around this. I mean, sometimes you're hitting it off with somebody in a way that is so positive in terms of advancing your position in that interview that it would feel awkward not to follow a particular line of questioning. But if you have any problems, if you feel that you've been attacked in an interview verbally, and you're wondering if it's something that you should bring up with the Dean of Admission, by all means contact me first. Just want to make sure we've gone over these handouts. I'm not going to talk about every single one. Guide to interviewing is on the web. Trends you should know about, who they tend to interview or not. So what you're going to do when they come for you is a good one in terms of how to frame answers to interview questions. This one from the AAMC, selecting a medical school, 35 questions I wish I had asked. Maybe you're not going to ask every one of these in the interview, but maybe when you're thinking about which medical school you're going to attend, they might be things that come up. That's off the AAMC website for our alumni friends. This medical school interviewing advice to interviewers, this is an old handout that came from the University of Alabama. This is advice given, well, it's instructions given by the admissions dean to interviewers at the medical school in terms of the things that they should consider about applicants. And I think that some of those are very, very useful for you to read and think about in terms of getting inside the medical school personnel heads. I think I'll stop there, it being 7 or just after. I encourage you all to submit interview feedback forms. Second from the bottom. Does anyone have any questions? There's a lot of you in this room that I don't recognize, and that means I'll have the pleasure of working with you in the future. The people applying this year who are in the room, are already in contact with me about your interviews. It's very important to me when you do apply that you let me know about all of your interviews and waitlist positions and eventual acceptances, just so I could see trends and help you if you need help, which is something that I do later on in the process. Certainly pay attention to each of your processes and make myself available to help you at individual schools eventually. But it's also valuable for me to see trends and how things are going. If somebody seems to be rejecting everybody that year, or as in a couple of medical schools this year, are they newly inviting people for interviews very early? That's important for me to know about. So I thank you for your kind attention and wish you good luck as you now and in the future. Okay. Thanks, Nardine.